So today we are joined by Jeff Swift. He's Senior VP at Monster Energy. He's got decades of leadership and sales experience in the beverage industry. And before Monster, he also spent 9 years at Dr. Pepper Snapple. So we can get into that as well. He has helped drive Monster's explosive growth into one of the most recognizable and innovative brands worldwide. His expertise spans brand development, market expansion, building powerhouse teams that all thrive in a highly competitive space. When I asked Jeff to join us a couple of months ago, he did not hesitate for a second, saying that our mission here at Seven Eagle, helping you guys, is near and dear to his heart. So just absolutely honored to have one of the top guys in the beverage industry join us today. So Jeff, thank you so much, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Jordy, for that introduction. I don't know if everything he said is true, but the one thing that is true is when he called and asked if I would come speak to this group, I said something like the cause is tremendously near and dear to my heart,
Yeah.
and of course, and then it took us 5 months to schedule appropriate time because Monster likes to have me in a different city every week and traveling all the time. So thanks for your patience on that, Jordy.
Absolutely. So Jeff, as I think I mentioned, the folks on the call right now with us are men and women getting ready to transition out of the military and head out into corporate America. And we just love these sessions, an opportunity to chat with you and hear about your career, your experiences working in beverage, and then just more generally, what career advice or guidance that you might have for these amazing men and women on the call today. So I'm going to actually hand it off to David Noriega. He just retired out of the military and he's going to MC the session. He's much better at this than I am. So David, can you take it away with Jeff?
I learned from you, Dory. Hey, Jeff, thanks for coming.
Hey, David.
No, so when he said, "Hey, come on," the guy from Monster, and I'm like, "Well, I don't do a lot of energy drinks, but I was looking at your experience there, and I used to do Snapple back in the day.
Okay. All right.
I used to work for Fuddruckers, and Snapple was a big part of our drinks that we would sell, like
I
kind of on the
remember.
side that wasn't a fountain drink, and it sold pretty well. So, but from someone like you that made it to like Monster, I would say is pretty pinnacle for you guys sponsor. You guys sponsor something I really love, which is UFC. So I'm
Okay.
really interested in this conversation. But for all the veterans and everything, what kind of got you in the beverage game, right? Because it's a unique space and it's kind of a big space now, I would say, when it comes to like sponsorships, especially energy drinks. Can you go into that how you got into this world?
Yeah. It can be a really long story or a really short story. One thing I
Yeah.
liked when Jordy asked me to do this, he said, "Please don't put a presentation together. I want you to tell stories." And I've been in sales my whole life, and telling stories is what we do and we thrive at. If you ask me to do math or financial reports, I don't necessarily get thrilled about that. But telling stories is something in my DNA. I got out of college in 1997, and it was a different time. Like there was more jobs available in 1997 than there were people to fill them. And my old high school football coach asked me to come and help him coach the running backs and defensive backs for my old high school. And I said, "Great, that doesn't sound like it pays a whole lot." And he said, "Well, just go find a job where you can be done by 3 o'clock every day." So that my mission was to go knock on doors and find some job I could start early so I could coach football, which is what I thought I would do for my career. And Coca-Cola Bottling Company in Chicago, Illinois, where I was from, had all these jobs advertised. So I didn't call, I didn't schedule a meeting. I just went down to the Alsip, Illinois Coca-Cola plant, knocked on the door, and said, "I'm here to interview for one of these sales jobs you have open." And I remember the secretary or administrative assistant kind of rolled her eyes at me and said, "Well, who's your appointment with?" And I said, "I don't have one. I just came here to get a job today." And she said, "Go sit down." And 20 minutes later, I was in an interview for a silly entry-level sales job called vending accounts manager. And for whatever reason, they hired me, and I started work at 5 in the morning, and I finished at 2:30, and then I could haul butt back to Darien and coach football, and it changed my life to go work in the beverage industry, and that's all I've done since. But that's how I got started in this place.
How much do you think impressed them about you just showing up and going, yeah, I'm here for the job. You said you're hiring and I'm here, so let's make it happen.
I kind of laugh. Like I think they wanted to know that I could speak, and they wanted to check my pulse. And if all those things checked out, then I had a job, because they needed warm bodies to fill positions back then. I joke about that a little, but it was a completely different time. And the youngsters on my team now just don't understand it, because it was not so competitive to go get your foot in the door for these big companies back then. I do think the gift of gab probably helped. I was not afraid to put myself in that position. I was not afraid to what I like to say, reach across the desk and demand the job. I think I was just dumb enough at 21 years old to walk in there and act like I deserved the opportunity, and they gave me one. And the rest isn't really history, as they say. I mean, I don't think I was great in my early years, and then I got a manager job, and I don't think I was great as a leader of people. Nobody taught me how to be a great leader, so a lot of trial and error kind of gets you along the way, so to speak. And I'll be honest, I'm still not the leader I want to be when I grow up, but I might be running out of time. So continually trying to get better and better at what you do is the goal in life.
Yeah, I think, there's a couple of things that you said, like at least you can kind of see where your weaknesses are, like especially back then, we're like humble enough to get into a space where you're like, I know I'm good at one thing, but as far as I'm going up this corporate ladder, you're like, I don't know if I'm good enough about doing this. But if you're part of the company and you're given that opportunity, you just learn. But I love the way you say like communication is one of the big things that like I think it's invaluable now to be able to like talk to people, groups of people, because I feel like it's a lost art in some respects in the military. I don't have much experience in the corporate world, but I can see as people looking up to you that show up from a 9 to 5 job or whatever their shift is to go, hey, I want to show up here every day because I like my boss. Right? Like I think he communicates very well, whether it's good news or bad news. At the end of the day, I still want to work for him. Can you talk about your experience of like you're good at communication and how does that like directly correlate to sales in the position you're in? And then we'll take Leslie's question after. Go ahead.
Um, yeah, I think when we are putting ourselves in uncomfortable positions, uncomfortable situations, nobody likes that, right? I didn't necessarily like walking in there, talking to somebody I didn't know and telling them something as goofy as I'm here for a job. But my gosh, we grow so much. The more uncomfortable we are, the more growth is happening. So I try to challenge my team and my leaders on my team and my people. And I challenge myself and I challenge my 10-year-old son. The more time you can make yourself uncomfortable in life, that's when you grow the most. And I had some great mentors along the way that taught me, and like they teach you in the military. There's a great quote, and I'm trying to remember who it was. It might have been John F. Kennedy, and I think it was back in '69 when we were doing the moonshot goal, and he said something like, and I'll probably screw this up, David and Jordy, but it was, we don't accept this challenge because it's easy. We accept this challenge because it's hard. And putting yourself in positions where things are hard feels terrible in the moment. Sometimes you're nervous, your voice is cracking, you're standing on a stage, and then all of a sudden you did it, and it didn't kill you, and it made you stronger. And then the next time, boy, you could start perfecting your craft and your skill because you'd already been through the hard part. Now it got easier. So making things hard initially makes life a little easier, I think, and I believe in that.
Oh, yeah, I think we could all agree to that too. It's like, and you learn to appreciate it more when you try something, whether it's pass or fail, you learn so much from that, and your confidence only grows. I feel like in the sales kind of role, you're communicating, and there's not always going to be a win. And Jordy kind of explains that to us. If you're getting into the sales world, there's a lot of potential, right, for you to grow and make money and do what you got to do, but you have to be willing to understand that there's going to be a lot of losses in between there. You just got to be able to take them on the chin and go, you know what? That's fine. I got to change up a couple of things and let's move forward on the sales pitch. How much of it, like with you with Dr. Pepper and Snapple, like, did you drink Dr. Pepper and Snapple to go, hey, I want to know how to sell more of these or how to manage these accounts better? Or was it just kind of like, hey, I'm just a sales guy. I'm a manager.
I think yes, I drank all those products. I'm drinking a Monster this morning, late morning, but you can look at it different ways. There's people that work for me that don't drink Monster. There's a French gentleman that reports directly to me. He's my vice president of sales capabilities. So he's a smart guy, an analyst type mind. I've never seen him drink a Monster. He's a French guy. He drinks coffee from sun up to sundown. But he's just as passionate about our brands and our culture as I am. So I don't think that's a prerequisite to working for a company. But believing in the mission and believing in the importance of your products, your company, and what they stand for is pretty important to having success in that organization. I probably couldn't go work for Philip Morris tomorrow. I have no connection to cigarettes or tobacco products, and I have certain biases about them. I think it would be hard for me to go work for a company that I didn't believe in, and I'm sure there's people out there that think energy drinks are horrible for you and couldn't go represent Monster, and that's okay. And actually, that's respectable and commendable. If you know right away you can't you can't stand behind that product, then by all means don't go work for that company. But I when I started with Coke, um, you wouldn't find a Pepsi product in my house or my family's house or my grandmother's house, and I wouldn't allow it. Right? You get this pride and passion for what you do, and your family has to drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak, and follow along. And then I went to work for Dr. Pepper, and Dr. Pepper is unique because across the country, Dr. Pepper can be either distributed by themselves, their company operations. It can be distributed by Pepsi in some markets, or it can be distributed by Coke in other markets. So that one made it quite confusing, right? And when I worked for Dr. Pepper, I worked for a system called the Queso system that worked directly with the Coke bottlers that had Dr. Pepper. So I continue to drink Coca-Cola products and Dr. Pepper products exclusively. And I've never had a Red Bull, and I've never had a Rockstar, and you have loyalty to the organizations that you work for.
Yeah. No, I like it's either way, right? Like you could have loyalty to the mission and to the service you provide, or you have a loyalty to all of it, where you're like, hey, this is Monster or no, nothing, right? And I love that aspect of it because in the military, it's the same way. You're providing a service, whatever you're doing, and you just want to be behind the mission. And a lot of us are trying to look for that next thing, like our next mission, right? That's the way I look at it, right? It's not like I'm looking for my next job. I'm looking for my next mission. We say career, this and that. That's fine, but for me, it's like my next mission because that's what I associate with. Can you give us an example of like a mission? Like, hey, this is our mission. What is like Monster's mission now? Providing that service. What is like their pitch to everybody? So we kind of understand the mission better for ourselves.
Yeah, I get asked that a lot. Like, what is your company motto, or what do you guys stand for? And it's a little more complex than just caffeinating the world one drink at a time, right? We stand for we're different than a lot of consumer product goods companies because we're kind of this lifestyle brand. 170 plus countries, a few Latin American countries, going back 20 years ago. But I'll be darned if everyone around the world didn't identify with the Monster logo and M Claw, right? Everybody knew this mark right here. 20 years ago, it was one of the more popular trademarks out there. And when we went to open up China 8 or 9 years ago, they didn't even know we were a drink. They thought we were a motorcycle company. They thought we were a company that made cool helmets. They thought we were a video game company. They thought we were all these things. And then they realized we're actually all of those things, but most importantly, we make functional drinks. I'm rambling a little bit here, but I'm getting off of your initial question. But what I'm most proud of, and I've been with Monster now for 13 years, is that we've stayed true to who we are. We're this rebellious grassroots company. You'll never see a Monster commercial. You'll never see a Monster radio ad. You'll see us on radio and on television connected with somebody else's advertising a lot. But we don't do commercials. We don't have a gives you wings campaign and put silly commercials on television all the time. We've stayed true to kind of who we are. And secondarily, or maybe almost as important, we're a very philanthropical organization, and we give back a ton. But you never see that either. Every time there's a natural disaster, we put water in cans and we ship trucks to wherever that disaster zone is. Other companies do that too, and you hear about it and you see it because they're on the news and they're on the media. We refuse to publicize any of those things that we do. And the other thing I'm really, really proud of, and it's near and dear to all of you, is about 80 cents of every dollar we donate to a charitable cause goes to either active military or veterans. 80 cents of every dollar at Monster goes to our military heroes. And that's been ingrained in our organization since the beginning. And we have a great ambassador that runs an organization called Monster Cares, who her first job at Monster was leading our teams that call on the military. So if she had her way, 100% of 100 cents of every dollar would go to the military, both active and retired. And
that's huge. I didn't know that.
I'm proud of that. Yes.
Oh, I think that's I think it's like the what's behind the brand, right? Like, and not a lot of people see that, but we have a couple of questions, and I love what you just said. That's huge. Like, to be able to donate like that and have with intentionality to veterans, that's awesome. We love it. Nathaniel, go ahead.
Hey, so my question is, as a caffeine drinker myself, they definitely like with energy drinks, there is a lot of scrutiny with them, being unhealthy, too much sugar, young people drinking them. And how you just discussed with Monster really staying true to the brand and doubling down. I wanted to get your perspective kind of, as we know nowadays culture shifts really fast. Like one day we're focused on this, next day it's focused on something else, and how the brand really decides when and what time to really shift with the culture, and how that's kind of when doubling down and staying true to your roots, like at what cost, and kind of what moments in your career it has been when you really have to make that decision. Like, do we, double down, or how do we shift the brand in the direction kind of culture is going?
What a great question. And I actually have something going on right now in our organization that I can kind of speak to. There's the you want to stay ahead of trends in any business, but sometimes you're not ahead of the trend, and you've got to be a really good fast follower. The first energy drink to launch in the United States, real energy drink, was Red Bull, and that was in 1997. Monster was born in 2002. So Red Bull had this 5-year head start. So you could say Monster was a fast follower right from the beginning, right? We did it very differently than they did. But the trend of energy existed, and we got on board 5 years later. Right now, health and wellness is dominating consumer product goods. And you could say 20 years ago, Nathaniel, that everybody was talking about health and wellness, things like creatine and no sugar. That's been around forever. But in the last 20 years, go look at McDonald's stock performance over that same time that we were all trying to get healthier, right? We were talking about it, and we were doing a little bit more of it, but we were still eating Big Macs and quarter pounders like they were going out of style. I've noticed in the last couple of years that, and maybe longer than that, this health and wellness thing is really taken off. Maybe it goes back to the 2020, 2021, the COVID years. So what we're trying to do is capitalize on those trends. We didn't invent the health and wellness trend, but as far as energy drink sales go, there's really two big players. There's us and Red Bull, and then there's kind of everybody else that makes up about 25% of the category. For years, I was so proud that half of our drinks that we sell are either zero sugar or low sugar, and nobody knows that about Monster. And we built this brand, and you've seen a lot of it on social media lately. There's this craze going on the white Monster can. We call that one Zero Ultra. If you're a social digital person, you've seen some funny stuff on White Ultra, and it's just taken off like crazy. It's $1 billion brand just by itself. So that means we have two now. We have the Monster Green Original and the Monster White that are $1 billion brands. One is full sugar, one is completely zero. And what we're trying to do now is change the way the consumer sees Monster through the eyes of this white can and then all his friends, because we've got all sorts of ultra flavors that were based off of this white can. And in grocery stores, convenience stores, you'll see us kind of separating, like we're almost two brands, to stay ahead of this health and wellness trend from our perspective. I still meet people on the streets that say, I love that white Monster. I can't get enough of it. Do you make one that has no sugar in it? And I say, we absolutely do, and you've been drinking it all this time. And they said, there's no way. It tastes so good. How does it not have sugar? And I don't think we've done a good enough job of telling people that we are the energy drink company that now it's over half of our sales are zero sugar or no sugar. Our biggest competitor, that's like an 80-20 sugar to no sugar split. So we have this competitive advantage at the right time that we need to be capitalizing on in every store and in every message we deliver. Did I in any way answer your question, Nathaniel?
Yes, absolutely. It's just really interesting to see kind of like, nowadays with brands, how, kind of like how they shift and develop over time. And especially like now, definitely like the white Monsters, the sugar-free, like normally, like I love the white one myself, and how it's like its own thing. And you even almost like sometimes forget about the other ones. It's just like you said. So thank you.
That's great. Are you a coffee drinker, Nathaniel?
Anything caffeine,
anything caffeine. Do you drink Starbucks?
I do. I'll drink Starbucks, Dunkin', but Starbucks is like $9 nowadays.
It's crazy. Well, the other big misconception about energy drinks, and we must be great marketers because we call them energy drinks, right? But a 16-ounce Starbucks coffee, this is a 16-ounce can of Monster. A 16-ounce Starbucks coffee has more than twice the caffeine as a Monster can does. But nobody knows that either, because we do a good job marketing how much energy we give you in our cans. But most gourmet coffee has 1.5 to 2 times the caffeine that an energy drink does. So you can go wow your friends with that irrelevant statistic, but energy drinks have less caffeine than most gourmet coffees.
That's actually a good one because people always say, "Why are you drinking energy drinks? It's not good for you. All the caffeine. Just drink regular coffee." So I'm definitely gonna hit him with that one.
That's a good one. I like that. Nathaniel, thanks for the question, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Shaquan, go with your question.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Jeff. First of all, I want to thank you a lot for coming to spend some time with us. So I'm actually looking into potentially going into sales myself. And what my question is, are you saying, because I like to summarize any information that I get, I summarize it up quick. So are you saying that you could be passionate about a company's culture to help you in the sales, in your sales role or sales department, even if you don't necessarily drink the product or anything like that? But I am a caffeine drinker.
Yeah. Yeah, I have examples of that, and there's, not everyone at Monster is a Monster consumer. And what you find out is there's cultures within cultures, in organizations that I think are really cool. And I lead a team called the West Business Unit. So basically the Western third of the country, the folks that are in my organization call on the Coca-Cola distributors throughout the West. Coca-Cola is our global distributor. They're the ones that bring our products to retail stores. And we have a unique culture in the West Business Unit that's maybe a little different than the East Business Unit or the Central Business Unit. And I feel like when you go work for an organization, you're working for the brand, you're working for the M-Claw in my case, but you also work for people and leaders, and that becomes just as important as the corporate entity or that you work for. And you've heard this before. When we lose good people, I've got CEOs and presidents that say, hey, they remind you every time, people don't necessarily work for corporations, they work for people. So how did you let that guy go, Swift? How did you let that gal leave the organization? And cultures are created by leaders in organizations just as much as cultures are created by brands and lifestyles and the things that Monster does. I'm not sure I answered your question completely, but if you want to come to Monster and you don't drink Monster, that's not going to keep you from getting hired into the organization. I probably wouldn't lead with that in the interview, though. I wouldn't lead with "I don't drink your product" in the interview.
I'll probably bring a Monster to the interview and just sit it to the side.
That's a good idea.
Jaquan, that was a great question, because a lot of us in the military and is like, yeah, we're driven by money and we're driven by their next mission, whatever. But a real important part of that is the culture. Because one of the things we're leaving the military after 20 years or 4 years, whatever, however you serve, is the culture.
Yeah.
And you're looking to land that next thing that goes, what makes it feel kind of like the same culture I just left? And hopefully I make money with that, right, alongside with that. But that's one of those things that we kind of gamble and think about as far as like when we're choosing our next career, our next journey kind of things, the way I look at it. So that's a great question, Shaquan. We got some other questions. Thanks for asking. But we'll probably go back to that culture thing because I'm really like curious on veterans in the Monster,
Yeah.
Monster company. But we have three more questions here. Kyrie, go ahead.
Hi, sorry. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Hi.
Hi. So I was actually going to ask about the culture at Monster too. Um, Maintainers, so we drink a ton of Monster, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'd been kind of checking out the company, right? Because I'm just interested in what's out there, and I don't want like a boring job. And Monster, just like the whole brand and the whole culture is like, hey, be different. Let's bring something else out there. And so I guess with that, like, you'd said you'd started out as like a field representative. Can you just kind of explain like some of the other jobs in Monster and kind of like maybe what they entail? Nothing super in depth because I know we don't have all that time, but like, what's it about? How, like how do you get started? Like what would be some cool things for us to know?
Okay. Sure. I can take you through the typical org structure for field sales, and field sales is where I live. And then and there's a bunch of other departments that I can give you some high level stuff on, but an entry level position in our organization is called a field execution representative, and the job is living in retail stores. Think Walmart, 7-Eleven, Circle K, AM, PM, Wawa if you're on the East Coast, Quick Trip, all of the Kroger grocery stores, or Publix if you're Southeast. And those folks are in there helping our distributor execute our programming, right? We may have a marketing program going on at Walmart. We may have a display sales program at 7-Eleven. We may have a retail chain. We just sold in Monster coolers to every one of their stores. And so we would send those people out to these very high valued retail customers. They would do things like build relationships with the store managers or decision makers in store. They'd build relationships with everyone in those stores because everyone's important. And then they would do some merchandising. So there's a little physicality into it. They would decorate displays. They would upsell certain items, and they would entertain the Coca-Cola reps, maybe take them to lunch, do things like that. So that's the entry level, and that position would be hourly position with benefits. So field execution rep, hourly position with benefits. Hourly rates are different in different markets across the country. If I would have to guess, the average in the low $20 an hour type range for that. The position up from there is called field sales representative. So in that position, you have salary, benefits, a company car to use while you're working. I think they're those little Ford Escapes. Not quite an SUV, not quite a car. I don't know what you call those things, but and those folks basically are given a geography, and hey, this is your dirt. You own it. You own everything that goes on here. So they work directly with the Coca-Cola bottling partners that run the business in those areas. They give presentations at Coca-Cola meetings. They get on calls with the Coca-Cola bottler weekly, downloading all of our activity and programming. And then they spend 3 or 4 days a week alongside either a manager at Coca-Cola or a sales rep at Coca-Cola and go run their routes with them. The Coca-Cola team likes when they get to bring the Monster guy with them to their route and to their stores for a day. They tell the stores in advance, hey, I'm bringing the Monster guy to talk to you about this, this, and this. And when the Monster guy shows up, well, a whole lot more selling happens because we know we are the experts on Monster. So field sales rep would be the next level up sales role. We hire for field sales reps We hire people right out of college sometimes that don't have beverage experience. We hire people right out of the military sometimes that may not have beverage experience. And for field execution reps, most of them don't have prior beverage experience. A lot of times field sales reps, they do have some, but it's not a prerequisite to applying for those jobs. Up from there, you get to a region manager position. A region manager has a bigger piece of dirt, a bigger plot of land that they manage, and they call on people at Coca-Cola with bigger titles. They report to sales directors. Sales directors report to vice presidents, and vice presidents report to senior vice presidents. The other positions that are available at Monster, obviously we have a wonderful marketing team, but even within sales, we have folks that are in charge of business analytics and data. I've got probably 8 or 9 analysts on my team, 3 or 4 business development managers, directors of business development and sales capabilities. And those are the folks that are using sales data and things like AC Nielsen share data to build selling stories for our sales team by using fact-based data to help us be better at selling. We've got office teams that report into. I've got a 7-person office team, and then we've got some other oddball positions that are more I would say project management and planner type roles, and we call those commercialization managers. We've got directors of commercialization. So we've figured out how to make sales really complicated in 2025. But my team consists of about 240 people, and I'm probably I'm not the largest business unit. I think I'm right in the middle. So in terms of field sales folks, we're closing in on 800 or 900 people across the country. Some other roles at Monster on the sales side, you have these teams that call on chain customers. We call them our customer teams, and they are the folks that carry their books into Bentonville, Arkansas, and sit down with the buyer at Walmart and sell in our programs. We have teams for Walmart, we have teams for Kroger, we have teams for 7-Eleven, all the big chains across the country. And those customer sales folks roll up into a different department. We actually have a chief customer officer that manages those teams. I'm rambling on here, but that just kind of shows you the sales organization and what those specific roles do. If there's questions regarding that, please pepper me.
No, Kyrie, was that good for your? I think he answered it pretty well, considering each position and then as they grow. I really appreciate the question.
No, that was awesome. That was a really, really good breakdown. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Yeah, it's like the support behind what Monster does, right, is a little bit bigger than what people think.
Yeah.
I always just think about the people driving the car and going out and selling stuff to these big grocery stores and just being successful, but not necessarily what's behind them. But
there's a lot of different sales. When people use the word sales, like Monster, you're never really going out and selling somebody Monster for the first time. There's no cold calling anymore on Monster because Monster is kind of everywhere, right? At least in the US. So you're really it's customer relationship, customer management, and then my team does more selling to Coca-Cola than they do to the retail stores. The distributor network at Coca-Cola is really responsible for that final sale into your 7-Eleven or your Walmart on the street. It can be a bit complicated, but we're not selling a product to somebody for the first time. Monster already exists in their universe. We're just selling them more.
Absolutely. No, I can understand that. The brand's there. Now it's
Yeah.
just keeping the relationships. Brandon, go ahead with your question.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me all right?
We got you.
All right, my question is kind of more on the personal side of life. You've answered a lot of business questions, but I want to know what it's like going from here to here while also maintaining like a work life, like family balance, stuff like that, and how you manage to keep up with changes with family life and grow as an individual as well.
Well, that's a really great question. I think you've got to just put as much effort into. Actually, you've got to put more effort into family life than you do in your professional life. I'm fortunate to have a great supportive partner, my wife Claire, and we're lucky enough to have one child, and you guys probably all live this already, but this is why we go to work. This is why we do what we do, is for the betterment of that family. In 2015, I had been with Monster for about 2.5 years, and the president called me. I was a sales director in Texas for my first 2.5 years at Monster, and the president called and said, "We would like you to entertain coming out to California and managing the West." And I said, I honored, flattered, but my life is in Texas. My wife is from here. I'm about to have my first child, and thanks, but no thanks. And I hung up the phone, and I went to tell my wife what the call was about, and she smacked me on the back of the head and said, "Hey, dummy, call her back immediately. If they think you're the guy for this job, I will go anywhere with you. I will go anywhere for you." And I'm not the most emotional guy, but I think I had tears in my eyes and had to stop sobbing for a minute, and then made the call back, and that conversation, we didn't know it at the time, but that changed our life. It really did. And my wife, who was born and raised in San Antonio, went to college in San Antonio, never left San Antonio for more than 2 weeks in her life, had a baby in February, moved to Southern California in August, and we didn't know anybody. And we created this life out here for the last 10 years. And it was the best thing we could have done for each other. But those are the things you when I'm 90 whatever, and not getting around so well, I will remember my wife slapping me in the back of the head and changing our life. But that just shows that as much as we work our butts off for our significant others and do everything for them, well, they also do everything for us. And that did not answer your question, but that's my story.
It answered the question effectively.
Thank you.
I feel like, and a lot of us can relate to that, like the sacrifice you make away from your family, but you're providing something for them and they're supporting you. So you go to work every day to do that for them, and they support you through that. So through thick and thin and all that. So that really resonates with a lot of us. And I think I guess the question too is like, we're really, a lot of us are like fast paced in the veteran military thing, and we're like, golly, we just want it to slow down just a little bit. Right. But in reality, I don't know what would happen if you actually slowed down completely, because you would just change, how you don't know how that would affect you. And you'd be like, I want to be busy again. So now I could really appreciate that answer, the way you put it. So we got a
Thank
couple more questions,
Great
and then
question.
we'd like to do something with you afterwards. So we'll take two more, and then there's something interesting afterwards. Nicholas, go ahead.
Hey, Jeff, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
This kind of two-part question. For kind of curious for us that are transitioning now, like in the military, our career progression was kind of mapped out for us. So in the civilian terms, how did you overcome maybe you feel like you were stalling out, the advance your career progression, and how did you overcome toxic leadership within the companies that you worked for?
Yeah. Couple good questions in there. I think I'm fortunate enough to go work in beverage, and you could probably say this for a lot of different consumer product goods companies, but it's so competitive. Like when I started with Coke, it was like we're at war with Pepsi, right? We're not at war. We don't know anything about war. You guys know about war. We don't know anything about war, but that was the mentality, right? And then I went to work for Dr. Pepper, and it was like, we're so competitive, and then I get into this energy drink business, and my gosh, like, the Red Bull guy won't, if they see Monster guys in the store, they'll wait. They won't even come in because it's like a dog fight out there. So I think that your question about how, the first part of your question was about the second part I know was the toxic leadership, but the first part was like, refresh me real quick. It was
career progression. Like, so we're structured in
Yeah.
the military to advance our careers, make
Yeah.
it in rank and different positions. How did you, I guess, personal story, how did you move your way up through, your companies in the civilian life
I
cycle?
got it. I got it better now. You know what? I think in life, and I don't want to sound cocky or arrogant here, but I think I outworked my peers. And I didn't work longer hours than them. Like I always tell the new hires, work hard, but working hard doesn't mean 16-hour days versus a 10-hour day. It means study, like know your craft, right? Ask a million questions to a million different people so that you can kind of become an expert faster than your peers. There's competitors all around me. There's the Red Bull guy, there's the Celsius people, but there's also my peers at Monster that they're my competitors for that next job, right? So if I'm outworking them, I'm going to have a clear advantage. And in my career, I was just dumb enough maybe to figure that out early, that I might not be as smart as these guys, but I know I can outwork them because I'm super competitive guy. The other big piece to moving up the ladder, in my opinion, in the corporate world, and I've had young hires roll their eyes at me when I tell them this, is number one, work hard. Number two, treat people well. And you hear this all the time, and you hear it from a lot of leaders that, treat the janitor just like you treat the CEO. And I hear people say that a lot, and then they don't do it. Like, treat everybody well. Like, someone's yelling and screaming at me in a store, I'm going to smile back and say, hey, I'm sorry. Whatever happened. If you're having a bad day, but I'm just here to help you, sir. And maybe I'll come back next time. Like, treat everybody well. And it's a secret to life. It's as much of a secret as outworking your peers. And then I have a third thing, and they roll their eyes at me on this one too, but it's luck. I got that call in San Antonio, Texas in 2015 because I don't think they had another candidate for the job. I think they didn't have anyone apply or anybody that they thought was ready. And I was lucky enough to have been working really hard in my role and got somebody's attention, and luck plays a big part in everything. It's different in the corporate world. There is a map where if you're a very talented field sales rep, there is this map for growth to get to a director level and above, but nothing's given to you. If you're not outworking your peers, if you're not a great human being, and if you don't have a little bit of luck, you may never get there. But those first two things really have been the story of my career. And the third thing, luck, absolutely had to happen for me to grow the way I did. The second part of your question was about toxic leadership. You're never going to control. You're never going to be able to control who you work for. And I, at Coca-Cola, I had a guy that threw books off his desk at me a couple times, and a yeller and screamer, and I hated that because when he yelled and screamed, he would spit and it would come on you, and it was the grossest thing in the world. I just worked harder, and I treated him nicer and treated everyone else nicer. And you're never going to be able to control who you work for. And there's a-holes, excuse my language, in every company and every organization. We have them at Monster. It drives me nuts that those people get in positions of leadership. But you can only control what you do. And remember the part I said about call everybody and ask a ton of questions. It's not just getting the answers to those questions that's going to help you. It's networking. If you're so networked in an organization and you've got a crappy boss, it doesn't matter, because you've just created more avenues for you to go grow somewhere else if the worst case scenario happens. Or you've created these avenues where these guys are trying to get you on your team. Guys and gals are trying to get you on your team. So there's no toxic leadership. If you're doing all of those things right, you can work for anybody. I'm a true believer in that.
Yeah. Thanks, Nicholas, for the question.
You bet.
Well, last question, and then we have a little thing we'd like to do with you before you have to leave us. Michael, go ahead.
Thank you, Jeff, for taking your time here. I have a question that's a little, I pretty much ask all the speakers this, because a lot of times the work that the company is doing is the focus, as it should be. But especially in organizations as big as Monster Energy, what does it look like if you know, or if you can speak to it? What is the internal IT look like at Monster Energy?
I can answer that. I'm really close to our senior vice president of IT, and we just recently hired a new head of IT, CIO, chief intelligence officer, I think is the new fancy name for those guys. We are moving from a functional IT department, basically, that existed to keep us all from getting hacked forever, to a very dynamic universe, moving us into the AI generation. We are going live with a company called Salesforce this week, which is big news for us, and kind of upgrading everything we do from a technological space. Becoming more dynamic in IT now doesn't necessarily mean more employees, because of everything that's going on in that world. So I can't speak to what that looks like, but we are moving 1,000 miles an hour compared to where we used to, and it's about time. We are moving to a data-driven, fact-based organization very rapidly. Did that answer your question at all?
Oh, absolutely, and I appreciate that answer, because like one of my philosophies, especially helping out other organizations, is where it can be fancy to go after the new innovations, the new technologies, and jump on board with that. But one of the things that I am repeatedly mentioning is technology should grow at the rate of the mission.
Yeah, that's right.
Not change the mission to fit the technology.
That's right. And we're 20 years behind when these guys came on board, and now we're rapidly catching up. I was at I don't know how much time we have. Do you guys have a hard stop with me, Jordy, at noon?
Yeah, we got 6 minutes left.
Okay. So I better not tell this story then, if you've got something else going. But
go ahead.
But thank you all for the questions.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
We wanted to ask something of you. You had mentioned a story about you walked into the building and you said, "Hey," at Coca-Cola, and you said, "Hey, I'd like to have this job," and they said, "Hey, have a seat and we'll give you a shot," and you kind of got that job. We have some veterans that would love to do like an elevator pitch to you, if you would like to hear it, and then maybe just one, so because we have a little bit of time, and then you give them some critiques based on their elevator pitch they have. So
Sounds awesome. Love it.
yeah. Larry, Kristen, or Jesse, whoever comes up first is going to be the winner.
I'll go.
Who's that? Who's that? Larry? All right, Larry.
Me, Jesse.
Jesse. All right, yeah, Jesse. Let me get you in here real quick, and then Jeff is all yours. Jesse, go for it.
All right. Hey, Jeff. So, as a 22-year veteran, what's that?
Can
I
you
don't
pin him,
see
Dave?
you.
I pinned him.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Hi, Jesse.
Hey, what's up, Jeff? As a 22-year Air Force veteran with a bachelor's degree in business administration, I've led $1 million time-sensitive operations where lives depended on success. I'm an expert in logistics and training, and my experience, I have experience leading teams of over 30 people to achieve strategic objectives that directly align with the mission of a Monster ambassador team leader, Matt. I'm confident in my ability to manage event sampling, drive consumer trials, and supercharge sales by leading a team that amplifies Monster's brand and generates revenue leads for, and generates valuable leads for the sales division. So let's get started.
Well done. Your experience. Have you ever been told you're over experienced for a particular role in your life? Has anyone ever told you that?
No, no, I haven't. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
I would tell you what the MAT team does for a living is fantastic to our organization. But I would counter to you that the sales guys make more money long term than the marketing guys in any organization, and you should be setting your goals to go lead a sales organization long term. With your business administration background, your ability to lead 30 people in the right direction, and your ability to jump on here and get uncomfortable and pitch yourself to me, I would want you in my sales organization, not on my sampling team.
Awesome. Yeah. So the reason I went for this job was because I'm actually living in Japan, and I saw you guys had an opening for that particular position in Japan. So I was like, shoot, let me try that out.
Do you speak Japanese?
Skoshi hanasemasu.
Wonderful.
Jesse, thanks for doing that, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's really
no problem.
awesome.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jeff.
Let's let Dave. We got time. We got let these other two bang out theirs because they were working on Larry and Chris. Go ahead, man. Go, Larry.
All right, I'll go. I don't know, Jeff. Can you see me, sir?
Not yet.
All right.
There you are.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing? I appreciate you allowing me to do this. Great opportunity. You know, wrapping up 25 years of an Air Force career where I've got to lead upwards of 121 people in an IT environment, developing unique solutions for various networks, both terrestrial, in the air, and actually overseas as well. Most recently, I was up at the Secretary of Defense, working for him and the chairman, leading the IT teams that flew around the world with him. And we had to develop some unique situations like installing a DoD network on a moving train. And so my 25 years has given me a passion to lead people and help them develop. And so that opportunity to lead them and get them used to talking to senior leaders in that way and learning how to navigate unique situations has been phenomenal. So I'd love to see where I could fit in Monster. We're IT, we run on energy.
That's right. Well done. Very good pitch. And I wish I had an answer to where you would fit in Monster, but your vast experience probably puts you higher than a mid-level leader in our organization. And at some point, I think it's Jordy's job to help us get connected to you guys long term to see if there's opportunities that fit in our organization. But very good pitch. Like the confidence, like the smile too. treating everyone well means having a smile on your face at all times. So.
Good job,
Sure,
Larry.
thank you.
That was awesome. That was awesome. All right, Chris,
Thanks,
last
Larry.
one. Then we'll let him go.
Hey, I'm over here. I don't know if you need to pin me.
Yeah, we'll pin her up. You find her? I can't. Oh, there she is. I got it.
Hello.
Found you. All right. Oh, wait, we forgot. All right, let's see. Could we do the?
All right, cool. I don't speak Japanese like Jesse.
Oh, wait, no.
Me either.
Won't be able to wow you with that, but my name is Kristen, and I'm currently based out of Richmond, Virginia. I'm getting out of the Army after about 5 years as a logistics officer, and I'm seeking to leverage everything that I've learned regarding leading teams and also getting the job done at all costs with character and integrity as well. And one of my favorite projects, just so you have some context, was actually when I was sent to Denmark, an amazing place, and I was able to work on the port and actually help with a deployment and a redeployment of troops out there. And it was just a great experience leading and managing all of the resources. And we called it a life support area, where I was able to actually work with everyone on the ground as well as the Danish military to make sure everyone had the resources that they needed to just survive out there. And then just in general, I'm just excited to pivot out of the military, have a new way of life, just use all the skills that I've gathered through the military and acquired. And just, I'd love to connect if there's any positions that you could see myself in. I noticed that for project management, I think you said you call it commercialization, which is a different term for me, but if you have any guidance or direction for me, I would love to hear it. So
I feel like your background would allow you to thrive in project management type roles. And on my team, they're called commercial managers or commercialization managers, but in some other departments, they're project managers or specialists. And there's a lot of opportunities. Most of those we're headquartered in Southern California, right? Corona is our global headquarters. So I would say roughly half of our project management roles exist out of that building. And then the other half are field related, like in the sales capacity. So the commercial role. So well done. Good pitch. Vast experience. Do you like to travel?
I do. Absolutely.
Do you want to live? Do you want to live in other places?
I don't think my husband would like it, but I would like it. But
yeah.
So unfortunately,
that's how it works sometimes.
Yep.
Hey, thank you for that, all three of you.
Yeah.
Excellent job,
Chris. Great job, and to Larry and Jess as well. Those aren't easy to do in front of a crew of almost 500 people watching you. So thank you, Jeff. This was incredible, man. We can't thank you enough, man. Taking
So
an
much
hour
fun.
out of your day, you spoke some real truths. It was just so impactful, and I know everyone got a lot out of this. So we appreciate you immensely, David. Thank you for leading that again. You did an amazing job, and Jeff, we will be in touch. And thanks again, man.
Thank you. Honored to.